can look at, we'll start by looking at our rhyme scheme. You don't have to start there, but you can. So right here we have awake, take, then men, light, right, glare, wear, and then we have our little line here from earlier where we noted that our scheme changed. So we have chilled, killed, and then we have wire, fire. So these guys rhyme. So we could say that this is an AB, ABCC rhyme scheme. Okay, so now I just wrote this word turn, and we've covered this before in class, so you should know what a turn is. But just in case, I'm gonna erase this. We don't need it anymore. If you're not sure what a turn is, that's when the mood or the it could be something changes in the poem, either the mood or the tone or the action of the poem, but there's division and the poem changes. And so that's the first thing that I think about. If the rhyme scheme changes, I look for a turn. Now there may not be one there, but we could look at this and try to decide if we think there's any sort of turn right here at this point. So I think you could argue that right here the poem breaks and we go from kind of passive thoughts and actions. I mean, there's crouching, rumbling, and bumping, but those are things that kind of happen in a combined or confined space. And then right here we have this word right here. We raid the Bosch. So I would say that you could argue that this right here, the rhyme scheme changes because this is where they're raiding. These 4 lines right here. We have chilled, wire, killed, fire. Now the thing about poetry is that if you can support your argument, you can really argue kind of anything. So you could say that chilled and killed, these could be where there's a war going on, and maybe the Germans send over a bomb, and then wire could be the retort, the bomb that comes from the other trench, the opposite side, firing at the Germans. Killed, again, is the Germans, and fire would be, I mean, maybe we were dealing with the British here. If we were at Sassoon, I'd say we're British. So this is, this could be a verbal form of war. Chilled, wire, killed, fire. These are the guns firing, the volleys going across into the other trenches. Now, maybe not. Maybe you don't really think there's evidence for that. But you can use this rhyme scheme and figure out what it means, even if maybe it's not a literal thing, maybe it's not gunfire going back and forth, but maybe you could argue that this just shows the chaos of war. We have our first 8 lines, again, our first 8 lines that are rhyming couplets, and then we have our break in our rhyme scheme, and maybe it is still related to the raid, but it's just showing the chaos of war instead of something more specific. It's a generalization of what that rhyme scheme means. So you start to look for things like that. You can go in and you can look for your figurative language. Something that's always helpful is subgroup 3 here, to think about the narrator of the poem. So in this case, someone is shaken from sleep, numbed and scarce awake, and then again back down here at our turn, we raid the Bosch. So I think it's pretty clear that our narrator here is a soldier. So you would start to look for things like that, though, as you're annotating, and that's going to tell you start to explain the poem a little bit, help you understand what it is that you're reading. Let's see, let me get this. Okay, so we have the narrator is a soldier. Now, who is that soldier's, who's the audience? To whom is that soldier speaking? You can, we don't really necessarily have any information on our poem, so maybe you could decide that for yourself. There is leeway in poetry to do that sort of thing. So we could say maybe the audience is his journal, or it could be a brother or sister at home, that kind of thing. It does not look like he's writing to another soldier. It seems like he's writing to someone on the outside, somebody who's not a part of the action. So those are the kinds of things that you're going to look for. And then, of course, we've been doing this the whole time, but you need to, there's the so what factor. What does it matter? What does all of this mean? That's this little number 4 right here. You're going to look at that so what factor and explain all of the things that you found. And then at that point in time, if you don't understand the poem, you would do number 5. You could ask for help or look up a commentary and get some extra outside resources to help you understand. So that is how the beginning process of how you're going to look at a poem. And when we pick up this lesson tomorrow, we're going to do the same thing. You are going to come in and we're going to have a poem on the board, and it'll be your job to click this little guy up here and start annotating, start noting that we have crouching, cabins, candle, chinked with light. Start noting, oops, it just went away, that's okay. You will start to note the importance of assonance and alliteration and rhyme scheme and all of those things. But for now, that's the end of our lesson.